at this Digital Africa ninth edition. It's been awesome. It's been wonderful. The speakers, the panelists, the moderators. I mean, it's been an absolute fabulous time. And like the saying goes, everything that has a beginning has an end. And we have come to a beautiful end to this ninth edition of Digital Africa Conference and Exhibition. It wouldn't have been possible without these people that I'm about to acknowledge now. Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, the Minister for Communications and Digital Economy. You've always been there for us. We are most grateful for your participation and continuous support. Professor Maro Garbadambata, the Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, thank you for always having our back. We are most grateful for your support. Mr. Inuwa Kashifu Abdullahi, DG of NIDA, thank you so much. We appreciate you very much. And then we have our sponsors and partners without whom this wouldn't have been made possible. So the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, we appreciate you. NCC, NIDA, MTN, thank you so much for always being there for us. VDT Communications, Chance Access PLC, you have been rock solid with us and we are most grateful. Compumetric Solutions Limited, our host, what would we ever do without you? The International Organization for Migration, Global Startup Ecosystem Business Day, Tech Kaba, we are most grateful. We are most grateful for your support. We're most grateful for your partnership. We're most grateful for your sponsorship. The speakers and the panelists, like I said earlier, you guys have done wonderful. And then the audience, let us give ourselves a round of applause. You guys have been absolutely rock solid. And we appreciate you and we look forward to having you again at the next Digital Africa Conference and Exhibition. And guess what? That will be the 10th anniversary. Okay, so at this point in time, I would like to invite Dr. Evans Waharem, the chairman of Digital Africa Global Consult, to make his closing remarks and declare the event officially closed. Thank you. It's good to have you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from all over the world who are attending this Digital Africa of 2021, at the beginning of this event, I did tell you that you are going to be in for an exciting time, that you are going to witness 3 days of an exciting event. This has actually been the case. And as a result of that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your staying power. I thank you all for the fact that you truly participated well, as I implored you to do. I thank you well for the fact that some of you visited the booth. Some of you also went to the lounge where you had meetings with other colleagues that were attending this event. I think this is really absolutely wonderful. Now, I am also amazed and happy by the extent of the participation. There are people participating across the whole of Africa, and in fact, across the whole world. The extent of participation, especially by the youth, has been very gladdening, to me, because the future we are talking about really belongs to the youth. The technology we are talking about is a technology that the youth are also more at home, with. So for that reason, I am absolutely happy that the youth of Africa participated well. When I scrolled to see the people that were participating, I was absolutely surprised by the extent of the number of youthful people that were participating. Even in terms of the speakers, I was also happy that most of those that participated are very youthful. I think this is really good for Africa. Now, the technology we are talking about, AI and blockchain, as I told you from the onset, are two members of a set of exponential technologies that are geared to really change the world we are living in. And what I've always said is that the train of the first, second, and third industrial revolution came and went without Africa playing a major role. And what I'm saying is that Africa must play a better role this time, that Africa must be part of this train of revolution. That therefore Africans should not just only make use of this technology, but should also be developers of this technology. That way we are truly going to be, part of this new revolution. Now, in order to do this, there are concepts I really want to leave you, with. One of which is the 6 Ds of exponentials, because we are in an exponential era. And in an exponential era, there are certain things that happen. There are certain 6 Ds you have to bear in mind. One of them is digitized or digitization. Almost everything you can think of is digitizing. Banks are finding out that instead of brick and mortar, that going forward, money is digitizing. Bank operation is digitizing. Bank, environment where they operate is also digitizing. Anything that is digitized goes into the same exponential growth we see in computing. Deceptive is the second one. Whenever you are in an exponential era, whenever an exponential technology is born, it goes through an initial era when it is almost as if it's not going to happen. In fact, the technology, one of the key technologies we're talking about here today, which is artificial intelligence, eventually went through a deceptive era, meaning it came, people felt it was going to change the whole world, but then nothing was happening for a time. And as a result of that, a lot of people were thinking that it was not going to happen. But lo and behold, eventually it kicks off and starts, moving. Most technologies that are exponential in nature are like that. Then the other one is disruptive. Of course, you all know they come and they disrupt the market as is. They take away some of the products that was there and they become, the norm. This is something you have to also bear in mind. Another thing we have to bear in mind is that as they come, they also become demonetized. Something that comes initially, it is so expensive, only rich organizations can afford them, only governments can afford them, only high net worth individuals or wealthy individuals can afford them. But with time, it becomes demonetized to the point that it becomes commoditized. That is also one of the natures of this technology. Then eventually it becomes dematerialized. It begins to separate from these physical products itself. The physical product itself becomes less emphasized. The digital nature of that product becomes more transformed and becomes, the norm. And then it also becomes democratized. Now, almost everybody can use it. Almost everybody can use it. It's now a commodity. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the 6 Ds of exponential. Africa can definitely make use of the technologies of today to leapfrog development. Time is past when we used to think that for you to develop, for you to leave the periphery and join the core nations of the world, you have to first make sure that you develop in mechanical engineering, in electrical engineering, in structural, engineering, and so on and so forth. And then move, from this stage to that stage before ultimately, but today, with these technologies, we can leapfrog develop. We can use these technologies to leapfrog develop, to become a center for manufacturing without having to pass through some of the initial stages some of the other countries that left the periphery and joined the core had to take. This, I believe, is something that we have to bear in mind. Very important. Now, the two technologies we've been talking about, AI and blockchain as well, in fact, as all the exponentials, have, in my own opinion, two things I like to use to describe them, or that I feel are important to talk about. One is that they are Promethean in nature, meaning they are technologies that are set to change our world as it is. They are recreating, the world. And as a result of that, we just have to be part, of that. We just have to be part. And the other one is the impact. Even though some of these technologies have all kinds of goodies, but they also come with deleterious impacts we have to also bear in mind. And because they have these deleterious impacts, we have to also be part of the design of this technology. Time is past when Africa sat in a sit-down look, manner while the world was, being recreated, while the world was being changed by technologies that are being developed in the laboratories of other parts of the world. We should be part of what is happening. And I'm so happy with what is happening, today, especially because of our youth. Our youth are embracing this technology so much to the point that I believe that all that is left, for example, at the apex level, at the continental level, African Union must see itself as one of the organizations that will champion the use of this technology to transform Africa. This can be done through the right kind of policies and through the right legal framework. All that, if we haven't done that, should be put in place. Not only be put in place, but disseminated in such a manner that almost everybody in Africa know about them. We at Digital Africa have always been talking about the continental connectivity. From the very first Digital Africa we had, in fact, the theme of the very first one was, inter-African connectivity. We see this as very important. We must make sure we broadband the whole of Africa in terms of country to country and intra within all, countries. This should be one of our goals, because the technologies of today, the Internet of Things we're talking about, the robotics we are talking about, the virtual reality, the augmented reality, all these technologies, AI, blockchain, they need a broadband in order for us to really make good use of them at the kind of level other parts of the world are going to. Therefore, we must make sure that there is both intra-country and inter-country connectivity that are broadbanded in the whole of Africa. And one of the things I talked about at the onset is the fact that even at the AU level or inter-country level between all countries of Africa, we should have a program like the Esprit program that was started in Europe in the 1970s and 1980s in order to make Europe to catch up with the USA and Japan with regard to the fifth generation, computing that was taking place at that point in time. What did they do in order to catch up? They started the Esprit program, which was based in Belgium. And as a result of that, companies, universities, and other organizations came together in a consortium and bidded for this project and used that opportunity to do the research with which they also eventually developed products that can compel Europe to begin to compete with both Japan and the USA. I believe that Africa is also at the point where we can also have a continental program in which so many companies in Africa can come together with our universities and other organizations or institutions and bid for projects and do projects that are going to help us to bridge this gap between Africa and the rest of the world. This, to me, is very important. And one of the things I feel when I look at the youth of Africa, their exuberance, and how much they've taken to IT. Even today, one of the youths of Africa sent me a message telling me, look, I am a lawyer, he said. Yes, even though I love my law, but I believe that I should also get involved in IT. What should I do? And of course, I had to advise him. So the love for IT is there. And funny enough, a lot of them are wonderfully talented in it and are set to change things using IT for Africa. Now, that being the case, I believe that what they need is the enabling environment. What they need is the right legal framework. What they need is also that encouragement, by government, and of course security, within which to do all the magic they are promising to do, which they are set, to do. Leaders should therefore please give the continent this enabling environment I'm talking about. This way, Africa will begin to close the gap. Now, the world, as a result of this event, we have been through 3 days of exhilarating event that I believe is very useful to all companies in Africa, to all individuals in Africa, and to the continent as a whole. And as a result of this, I believe that our time to begin to close this gap has come. Once again, I thank you all for your participation. Next year is the 10th edition. Next year, 2022, is the 10th edition. And in the 10th edition, it is going to be much, much bigger, at a much higher, scale. Being the 10th edition, we are going to do it in a manner that is very remarkable, in such a manner that it will not just be centered only in Abuja. Some of the programs will probably happen in Lagos. Some might also happen in other parts of Africa. So this is what we are planning. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation, and I look forward to you all attending the event for 2022. Thank you very much.